I am Jeff Foxworthy, and welcome to Gamekeeper Podcast. If you want to learn more about farming for wildlife and habitat management, then, buddy, you are in the right place. Join the Gamekeeper crew direct from Mossy Oak Land Enhancement Studio as they discuss the latest wildlife and habitat management practices, news, and, of course, hunting. There's no telling what you'll learn, but I'm going to tell you, I bet it's interesting. Enjoy.
We're live in 3, 2, 1.
We got some high production capability.
We got a custom song.
That's a really neat song Walt Gabbard has cut. I think it's called The Gamekeeper.
That makes sense to me.
I think you can go and find it somewhere wherever you get music and listen to it, the whole thing. But I'm excited about it. So welcome everybody to West Point, Mississippi, to the humble Gamekeeper Podcast studio.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you getting us in here again.
What is this, 196?
We're 196 episodes
We
now?
are.
That's amazing. You didn't even know what a podcast was when we started this thing.
They say the first 199 are the toughest.
I bet so.
Once you get through with 199, you're good, huh? Smooth sailing.
I guess so.
I mean, you'd think we would have covered everything by now, but there's so much to learn about wildlife.
No,
I mean,
we
so
love
we're
to
always
talk.
in here. That's right. I mean, we've got 199 episodes, but we've been in here talking about this stuff for 30 years. So.
Yeah. So I look around the room. Dudley, you look like you are excited. Your beard's grown out. You're
He's got
spending
kind of
time in the
The
woods.
deer season look.
Yeah, the beard may have to come off soon. Somebody referred to me as Papa Smurf the other day, so there may be a little too much white in the.
There's
the
a
beard.
little gray in the in the
Kind of
bottom
hurt my
part right
feelings
there.
a little bit. But.
Lanny, you look kind of gangster over there with your hood.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what, this Bottomland hoodie is comfortable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Richie's finally back at the helm.
yeah. Him and Mac off of their whirlwind trip to Oklahoma.
Well, I mean, someone had to do it.
Hey,
you know?
that's right. Yeah, we're all hanging around here
just-
trying to plant blue plots.
Yeah.
Plant blue plots.
And took parts of the podcast studio so we couldn't.
Why did you take the wires with you when you
Well,
left?
I told Bob I wanted to sabotage it, just to show how much
How important you
yes,
were.
how important I am.
Well, let me tell you what, it worked because we couldn't do it without you.
But Rob Kenny figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So hats off to Rob there.
Or was
So-
that Cleveland?
No, that was Robert. Robert
Rob.
pulled it through.
Yeah, Rob Cleveland left us in a lurch.
Hot off the plane, he made it happen.
So today we've got two really interesting guys. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce them, and in no particular order.
Absolutely not.
But we got Jim Ronquest with Drake, who is he's longtime duck hunter and won the world duck calling.
No doubt about it. Is synonymous with duck hunting, in my opinion.
He's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then we've also got Addison Edmonds of Gunner Kennels. And I mean,
The finest products
and-
out there for your dogs.
and now they've got a lot of other products
They
other
do.
than just a kennel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, came on the scene with that kennel, and man, what a great product.
look at this big mustache he's got. He kind of looks like Tom Selleck up there.
Yeah, he does have
He
a Tom
does.
Selleck kind of look. Yeah.
Do you get that very often, Addison?
I think around Halloween somebody said I look like him. No, not very often.
So instead of a Ferrari and Dobermans, you got a big truck and some retrievers.
There you go.
That's right.
I bet those Dobermans wish
What
they'd
was
had some
what was
kennels.
PI's cohort's name? What was that guy's name?
Magnum PI.
Higgins.
Higgins,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Higgins.
right. That was a good show.
That was a great show.
Yeah, it was.
You can watch that on the Friendly app.
Or you can also get the Gamekeeper television
Yeah,
show.
the outdoor channel on the
Look at
outdoor
there.
channel. It's $7.90. You know, they told us it was $6.99, but when I went to sign up, it was $7.99 a month. But it's a great. I watch that more than any other streaming service we have.
It is convenient.
So look, today we're going to talk about waterfowl.
Yes, one of our favorite subjects.
We're going to talk about dogs. We got a lot to cover. But before we go down those roads, there is a lot of blood
It's
on
deer
the bottom.
season. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, these kids are racking them up. So
Yeah, it seems like some pretty good deer hitting the ground early this year in the South, too.
I'm going to make some big deer.
Yeah.
So I think we ought to rename this. It's just another a weekly adding names to the people that we're jealous of, Lanny,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that are killing a bigger
Especially
deer.
those big deer. Look at Mac Thatcher up there, our own one and only.
Yeah, well, probably not jealous of that one.
No.
What he
I
had
don't
to
know.
go
That's a real six right there.
But he had to go through a long week to bring that one home. So I'm gonna let him have
It's a
that
big
one.
old mature old deer.
You've hunted for stuff longer than a week, hadn't you?
Yeah, I have.
There you go.
That's why I'm letting him have that.
yeah. So you understand where he's coming from. Hey, and I would say, and I think Richie, you can confirm this. Old Mac made a heck of a shot, didn't he?
It was 425.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
It was a poke.
Nozzler bullets, though.
Yeah, definitely nozzle bullets.
Yes, it was nice.
What caliber?
It's a 308. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah. Leopold Optics.
Leupold or Leopold? I think it's
Leupold.
Leupold Optics.
And it's Mississippi.
So,
Maybe.
All right, moving on. We've got a young lady right there on the right. That's a Georgia Boone and Crockett. Her name
A
is
boner.
Morgan Ray Walker.
Look, that deer's wide. He almost got like a mule deer frame.
He's
on him. Look at
incredible.
that. He is incredible. And then brow tines are serious too.
That is a gorgeous.
dang, Skippy.
Nah,
No.
split twos.
and
Yeah.
it's just a good photo.
It is
too.
a
You
great
can-
photo.
You can
Yeah.
see the sun in the background. It's
Looking
perfect.
down into swamps and that cypress knees there, Dudley.
That's a
Yeah.
great deer for a young lady.
Good for her.
Yep.
Great deer for anybody.
That's right. Good point.
Mhm.
What we got there?
Camille Stewart, Brick Stewart's daughter.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
her first buck. is what I
Dang,
understand.
she's starting out strong
She
too.
killed a couple of does already this
Yeah,
year.
she got her first turkey this past spring, and then she got a doe a couple weeks ago, and this is her first buck.
How about that?
Yeah, and a good one at that. And her sister Quincy also got one with her bow a couple weeks ago.
Golly.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, who you got, Lanny?
Well, we had the Moles youth crew out there to the place
The
trying
Utes.
the Utes, trying to do some early doe harvest, and I think just about all of them got on board. No, Little Dud and Dud are on the board.
Little Dud got one.
Yeah,
Yep.
Little Dud got one. Eli McKellar and Caston McKellar, or we call them the McKillers.
Yeah.
They're in there. Both of them are in there. Preston Domino, he ended up killing a coyote, so he got bonus points for that.
Yeah.
Then Hayden's on the board too. So we've knocked 9 does and 2 coyotes in the head in the first week. So pretty strong showing out there.
That is strong. Speaking of Domino, Campbell, a little girl named Campbell Domino, killed a monster.
That
buck.
would be Preston's cousin.
Yeah,
Isn't that right?
I don't know about that, but it was
Yeah,
a heck of a deer.
So Preston is John Paul's son, and Campbell is Nick's daughter, and they're brothers.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got to get John Paul's buddy Tucker back out there. I don't think he got one.
Yeah, we'll have to get him back out. But that deer that Campbell killed was quite impressive. And one more,
Yeah,
Jay Shows, Murray Show's son.
that's right.
He killed a really good deer. I think it was on the island, wasn't it? There.
I think
Wasn't
so.
it there,
Rob?
Nine pointer.
Yeah.
My BC and Kim Rogers, their son Ivy, they challenged him to get 10 does before he got a buck, and he took the challenge. And in 2 seasons, he just finished his 10th doe,
Wow.
and so now he's just the most determined.
He's
little
in the
kid.
buck club now.
Yeah,
huh?
he's in the buck club and he's ready.
I like
So-
these rules here. This is good stuff.
So, Addison, your daughter Marie killed her first buck this past weekend, didn't she?
Nice.
Yep. And I sent the picture to BC, and then I saw his post about his son had to kill 10, and I was like, man, that was a great idea, because Marie, my oldest, she's 8. She killed her first duck last youth duck season, her first turkey last spring, and her first deer was an 8-point buck, and she knew where to shoot it. We've been practicing, we've been hunting hard, and she said she felt like she put a pretty good shot on it, and Emily and I had to end up blood trailing it. I don't think we found it until about 11 o'clock at night, but we were so pumped to have it. And I'm processing the meat tonight.
There you go.
So we're excited about that. She's pretty thrilled.
Yeah, we're pretty stocked
is
up
awesome.
on venison sausage down here now.
Yeah.
Let's see. I actually have a couple more.
Oh,
ahead.
God, that's the time of the year.
Young Brandon Parker, aka Junior,
Junior.
hunting buddy I grew up with. His son Brandon got at the age of 14, he got a Pope and Youngish 10-pointer, his biggest deer to date.
With a bow, obviously.
No, he got it with a rifle.
I thought you said Pope and Younger.
Well, size,
Okay, my
roughly
bad.
125, 130.
My bad.
Yeah.
Deer.
Pope and Young, I
He-
usually think bow too.
Okay, well, it was Pope and Young.
Class. 125 inches.
Well, you could have said 125. inch
Okay,
class,
all right,
too.
all right. 125 to 130 inch 10-pointer for Brandon.
Which
He
is
also got a big bobcat recently, and both of them were in a Green Patch Plus. field.
Hey. Them Them bobcats love them brassicas.
Hayden got on the board, didn't he?
Yeah, I mentioned him.
Did you? I
I
didn't
did
remember.
mention. Yeah, no, he's on the board, and him and my dad were on doe patrol, and man, they didn't even have time to get in the snack bag. They done blowed them down and called me back in there to pick them
And
up.
another friend of ours, Breck Ferrier from Spring Legion, he got a nice 8-point over the Thanksgiving holiday. I really enjoyed the photos, all the family around, everybody just kind of standing around the deer, staring at it almost like it was a fire. You know, they were just sitting around the truck and enjoying looking at that deer. And
I
got a
love
kick
hunting
out of that.
Thanksgiving around Thanksgiving. It's fun.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway,
Amen.
Good stuff.
hey guys, Dudley from Gamekeepers here. I want to tell you about the all-new Gunner Dog Bowl. It's designed for home and built for travel. It's customizable, leak-resistant, light on weight, solid on durability, and rust-proof. Like other Gunner products, they're made in Nashville and designed for everywhere.
Well, and so duck season started this past weekend in a lot of places.
Not here.
But I mean, it's been going on up north. Jim, a lot of people getting started, I guess.
You bet. Arkansas opened. We just finished our first split Sunday. Our first 9 days was spotty. Some folks had them, some folks didn't. You know, as you mentioned earlier, it is dry, even after a couple of decent rains. But it's still dry. And those who have water and good habitat seem to have ducks, and those who don't. I checked the field we have down the road here yesterday evening, and the geese had found it. We had a good speck hunt Sunday afternoon with my daughter and one of her friends, and man, the snow geese were getting in there thick yesterday. So I'll go back this evening and try to run them out, or it won't be any feed left time we reopen on December 9th. But as you move up the line into the Midwest, the people North Missouri has been doing pretty well. So the mid latitudes starting to get right. Ducks seem to be pretty well scattered north to south. This goofy weather kind of made the migration different. Example, we was talking about snow geese. So you think about snow geese, typically here in the Stuttgart area, if you're working outside or bow hunting middle October, you're hearing and seeing big high bunches of migrant snow geese and specks coming around. We've had specks on the ground since late September, but you normally start seeing the snow geese mid-October. Man, nothing. They just now started showing up this past week in mass. You know, there's always been a few, but they just now started to show up in mass starting this past Friday and Saturday. So they're a month late getting here at the best. So I don't know if the rest of the migration is going to follow that direction or not. We need a big driving cold front and a big jet stream dip.
Well, you know, for the grain in the fields in that area, though, that's got to be somewhat of a bonus to having those geese here so late. Am I right about that?
Well, yeah, to a point. Yeah, absolutely. You know, because they'll clean something up. As I mentioned, the field we had, there's fields that they've flattened already. The specs have. So yeah, that'll definitely help keep some food around. You know, probably as you get into that, the biggest issue we've got in the Delta, the Grand Prairie and the Delta, are duck energy days. You know, so you back that into food plots and biologic and whatnot. There's not the food on the landscape there once was, and that's important. That really affects our duck recruitment to this part of the world.
Wow. So Addison, are you know, we follow you, and it looks like you duck hunt every day, like a lot of our heroes do. But is the water the places you hunt, are y'all having water issues?
I haven't duck hunted yet this year. We had in September I was gone every weekend, and with my 4 kids being ages 4 through 8, and Emily, my wife, works full time for Gunner. I decided to pump the brakes a little bit on hunts for work, which is most all the duck hunts, and try to get my kids in the deer woods more. So I've been taking my kids. I think I've hunted with all of them at least 2 or 3 times now. And I've been focusing on just trying to stay home and be with them more often this season, just the season we're in. And yeah, I was supposed to be in Stuttgart last weekend. That was the first time in 9 years that I hadn't been there, and supposed to be in Venice this weekend. And I'm going to stay and take the kids deer hunting. So I haven't gone out. I've got a few trips planned, but I can't give any reports right now.
And that's,
I-
hey,
you
you're
know,
spending time where it's important.
Yeah, exactly.
It reminds me because Hayden, I've been in that stage too. We're, deer hunting both of my kids, trying to get them in the outdoors. And he looks at me at the end of last year and says, "How come we're not duck hunting?" And I said, "Because you want to deer hunt all the time." So nonetheless.
So speaking of Stuttgart, Jim, what can you tell us about this past weekend at the World Duck Calling Championship?
Yeah, so this was what, the 88, something like that, World
Wow.
Championship Duck Calling Contest. I either the good fortune or bad fortune, I was one of the world judges. So we got a brand new world champion this past weekend, a young man from Nebraska by the name of Nick Brickachek. Nick's been around for some time. Good caller, good. Better than that, he's a good guy, very deserving.
That's awesome.
And he pulled one out, and as a judge, man, he blew good every round. I mean, he didn't know who he was till after the fact, but we was all talking about the numbers. This guy and this guy and this guy blew really well, and he was one of those folks. So
Was it a tight race?
Thing. It was. I think he won by half a point.
Wow.
Maybe a point. Yeah. So
Everybody was out of breath, huh?
That's right. It wasn't a runaway by no means.
I watched a few clips of that, and I'm a little bit out of the loop in the duck world. I grew up doing it and hadn't really duck hunted a lot in the last few years, but man, those competition callers, it just makes you wonder how they tweak their insides to make all those perfect noises come out of that little bitty duck call. It's amazing.
Spent a lot of time blowing on a duck call.
To me, it seems a good bit more difficult than like running a mouth call if you were going to compare them. Now, somebody may shoot me down over that, but
why don't you? We'll take a break in a few minutes. You could go get your duck call and call for a world champion and a judge.
They can judge you. That'd be great.
We can critique you.
No, sorry. I'm not going to subject myself to that.
Hey, everybody's got to start somewhere, Dudley. It's all good. It's all good.
And you don't have to sound that good to kill a duck.
No, that's what I was fixing to say. And, Main Street duck calling has evolved into something. It's still very rooted in calling ducks, for sure. It's kind of like a retriever field trial. It's rooted in fetching ducks. So that being said, it has kind of evolved into some sounds that people go, "What the hell is that? I ain't never heard a sound like that." But it's all about air control. And, if you imagine getting a bunch of ducks' attention way in the distance, call them to you, lose them, and call them back. So guys are supposed to paint a picture. It's evolved into what it is. And the more you understand it, the cooler it is. The less you understand it, it makes you go, "Why are they doing that?" So it's very fun to be a part of. You mentioned mouth yappers. I used to try to blow in turkey calling contests some too, and did okay. But there's a lot of similarities between the two, believe it or not. And differences. But a lot of the mechanics, you would think operating a duck call and operating a mouth yapper would be absolutely different, but some of those mechanics are really the same.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get nervous up there when you won the world championship with the duck call?
You always get a little nervous. I ain't gonna if you don't get a little nervous, you're probably in it for the wrong reasons. But the year I won, I wasn't overly nervous. And the first year I ever blew in the world, this is kind of a good story. I wasn't a bit nervous because I knew they was going to use my butt to sweep the stage with, so I didn't care,
Yeah.
And I got to blowing along, and then I realized that, hey, man, Jimbo, you're blowing pretty good. And then I thought, man, hey, I hit that just right. I could be in this thing. And then at that point in time, both knees turned to rubber. And then I squawked. And needless to say, from then on out, I was very nervous. But even nowadays, it's no different. You guys speak a lot and get asked to do different things. There's always a little bit of adrenaline when you walk out there to do something like that.
Addison, you've been around a lot of this stuff. When you start thinking about people running duck calls, some of the best people you hear probably won't ever make it up on a stage. When they get in the woods,
meat hunters.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
you're
talking
exactly
about.
Right.
Addison, can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh, I mean, for me, just the in person and not talking about at contests. I think my favorite duck caller is TJ Mallett. We went to school together, and I've hunted up in Canada with him, and it's just, I took a group of guys that hadn't been duck hunting a ton up in Canada. And the first morning, we all sat down. TJ started calling, and I looked up, and everybody got their phone out and just started videoing him because it was just such a different level of calling. Because all my buddies were we're maybe C plus, B minus on our good days. And, we tend to, we do okay, but, yeah, I haven't been around a ton of them hunting with them, but TJ is one of my favorites. He's a good guy too.
Yes, he is, and happy that him and Ashton have one in the oven.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Lanny, you said you were about to say something?
Everybody's got that buddy that thinks he can call and they can't.
Yeah. Don't look at me because
Does
I know
he-
I can't call. I just hide behind a tree.
It's
and
not Bobby points when he wants you to call.
Lanny is not afraid to call. I'm not going to say he's
that's
good,
right.
but he's
I
going to
will
call Adam
I will call at him
for sure. And
Hey, you got to call at him before you can call to him.
That's right.
So, guys, before one of the things I wanted to ask y'all is, y'all are all, where everybody in the room loves to duck hunt, and we have so much respect for the, waterfowl,
No
and
doubt.
the resource, and a lot of times, I've been with majority, been around everybody in a bunch of scenarios, and we kill a duck, and we all just kind of look at it and admire it. But I wanted to ask, do y'all think the wood duck gets as much credit as he deserves? Jimbo, I'll start with you.
Man, it's all about perspective, Bobby. So for me, and I think the wood duck's beautiful, and I think they're great table fare, and they make good crappie jigs and trap flies. But they can also be very frustrating. So if you're hunting public woods and you got a good bunch of mallards started, and then somebody waylays treetopping a bunch of wood ducks coming across the trees, you kind of get to where you dislike them a little bit. Now, if they're the only duck around that you can hunt, and you found a good wood duck spot, and they can be extremely fun to shoot, and they are callable. So the basic answer to your question, he probably doesn't get the respect he deserves, but at the same time, they're always fun to see and hear. Who doesn't like being in the turkey woods, hearing the wood duck squealing, make a turkey gobble, or same thing in the evening, sitting out here and hearing the wood duck squealing coming across the river or something? That's all pretty good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I've always thought they're great looking, they eat good, and I've never really been able to turn them and call to them. And I always enjoyed them on hunts when not much else was flying, and you pass shoot them and hunt them in the woods after a deer hunt in the morning. I love them. I get frustrated because I've never really been able to talk to them. And I've just accepted that. So if it's normal other places, it's not normal for me.
I don't know that I've known anybody that's really called them.
No, I made some wood duck calls, and we just blow them for some
like to
reason.
whistle at
Yeah,
them
we
and
whistle
stuff.
at them. It doesn't do much.
I know you didn't ask me, but I kind of like having the big ducks, the way they circle and you call and they come back, and the wood ducks, they're
they're there.
just there. And if they
Mhm.
come into your decoys, great, but you're not going to sit there and watch them circle 5 or 6 times and come in. That's to me a little bit more exciting. But I love a good wood duck shoot if that's what's around.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, no doubt.
They're a handsome duck, though.
A beautiful
They're
duck.
They
beautiful.
are that.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Wood is
of-
pretty.
A lot of people I've talked to in the last year is how they get into duck hunting. Is growing up in Alabama and other spots where that's the only opportunity to get on any ducks.
100%.
Could be a gateway duck.
I know it was for me. That's why I have so
Mm-hmm.
much respect for them. But like Dudley said, we're introduced to shooting wood duck holes. Maybe, in the afternoon.
It's hard to do that legally.
Yeah.
You have to wait for a cloudy day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it is frustrating that you can. I think in most states or whatever, what is it, 2 or 3 a day?
Yeah, I think you can kill 3 here now, which is
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
I want to say for years it was 2 or 1.
Yeah.
Your daughter's been begging you to hunt since her little brother shot the big 8 last year. You've ran a fire, dissed the fields, got stuck, got unstuck. Planted food plots, fertilized, and prayed for rain. You moved trees, limbed roads, even bought one of those fancy cell cameras.
So what's your excuse?
LS Tractor.
Moultrie was first in feeders since 1979 and is the leader in total game management. They're taking feeding to another level with the new Ranch Series line of durable and versatile feeders, perfect for both wildlife and domestic livestock. So Dudley, you can feed your goats. Whether you're a deer hunter, a hobby farmer, a land manager, or a rancher, Moultrie has you covered with several kit options, including a rotating auger, broadcast, or a gravity kit. And these feeders are 300 or 450 pounds. They're big feeders. All right, so guys, Moultrie is offering our listeners a 15% site-wide discount at MoultrieFeeders.com. Use code Mossy Oak with a capital M, Mossy Oak, at MoultrieFeeders.com and get that 15% discount.
Speaking of wood duck holes, I kind of wanted to ask you guys, just say you got a little farm or a little small chunk of private land. What are some steps you can take to attract waterfowl? I mean, even if you're not in a major flyway, you can probably have a decent hunt a couple times a year if you do everything right. Do either of you have any advice on how to get started with that?
The key thing you just said was in the general description of them: waterfowl. First thing you got to have is water. So if you've got something that you can either artificially flood or naturally floods, that's number one. And then two, if you can provide some sort of a food source to it, maybe it's a pond up in the woods that's surrounded by willow, so you kind of try to enhance willow acorn production. Or maybe it's something you can put a food plot in, biologic or something to that effect, where you can provide some groceries and some water. And if you don't disturb them a whole lot and get ducks to use it, you could definitely have a little bit of duck shooting. Talking about wood ducks, man, that's probably one of the best opportunities. If you're somewhere in some sort of duck country and you got old creek that runs through your farm or something, maybe you can dam that up or use some sort of a water control structure, back out some water, create some habitat, and you'll have a few ducks on it. That's something that'd be a lot of fun to partake in. The whole family can be a part of, and you get to enjoy it for a variety of reasons.
Jim, if you were doing that kind of fresh, would you try to not shoot them for a few years, so more and more kind of mark that on their GPS?
Yeah, I mean, the philopatry that is such that you would probably get birds coming back and using it year after year. It would probably be better, but I wouldn't be afraid to limitedly hunt it, and enjoy it. I wouldn't burn it down either way. Just hunt it every now and again when you see it's loaded up pretty good. Go have a good hunt, then leave them alone, let them have at it, and try not to disturb them. Pressure management on all waterfowl is key. And pressure is not just somebody hunting them, driving through them or getting on your four-wheeler. Hey man, let's go see what we got, or running a boat through them, watch them from a distance until you decide to go hunt them.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a great comment, Dudley.
Yeah, I think there's more people out there that have that opportunity. They may have a little drainage on their property. One of my biggest regrets is I used to have a place I hunted, some family land, and there was a little drainage, and the beavers got in there. And it was a stream side zone, and there was some big hardwoods around there. And my brain told me I needed to get rid of them, just like if they were in the pond, messing up the pond dam. And so I went and trapped the beavers. But while I was in there busting that dam and trapping it, when I was walking up, I heard mallards in there, and they got up and flew off. And I was like, "Oh, that's neat.
Maybe I shouldn't tear."
And then so I drained,
destroy their habitat here.
I drained it, ran all the beavers out, and they never came back. And then I was like, "What did I just do?"
Well, you got a balance there too. You got to protect your timber and everything else.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a stream side zone that I never would have cut anyway.
Yeah.
So it's.
Guys, Jim, when you were talking about that, I've got a little spot that just for fun, I put up a Spartan camera on it, and I put it about 18 inches off the water, higher than the water.
Very cool.
And I every year I'll get a bunch of wood duck photos, and it's amazing how many of them are like in a wad together. They're like a gang. But Jim, I wanted to ask you, are guys using trail cameras to scout for ducks much?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that more and more times people are putting trail cameras on duck holes, both private and public, to see what time ducks are using it, where they're using it at. Had a buddy I used to work with. deer hunting in the White River bottoms. He had his game camera out, and the water started coming up. And it was interesting as the water came up, the amount of duck use it got to the water went over the top of the camera. And he went and got it back, saved the card, and you could go watch all the pictures. But it's getting to be a bigger and bigger thing to check on fields, duck holes, woods holes to see when ducks are using and when they ain't, or what kind of numbers are in an area.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
And I
A lot about. Go ahead.
I guess that, arguably could be maybe an ethical concern. And I'm trying to think of where I would stand on that. But the beauty of that is you're able to go in and scout an area without disturbing any ducks. So when you normally go in and check on them,
you jump them out of there.
You may end up getting them up. And so that's kind of a nice tool to have to see if they're in there or not without freaking them out.
Yeah, disturbance is pressure, like I said,
100%.
Interesting you brought up the ethics question. Look at all the people who use trail cameras for deer, turkeys. I've been with guys, hey, man, he's in the green field strutting right now,
Oh, yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know where I stand on all that either, but it's modern technology, and it's a tool that we as hunters use to our benefit.
You could use it to your advantage, but you're also using it to lessen pressure.
Yeah, and make you a better gamekeeper. I mean, the information we get from our cameras really dictates so much about harvest, what our food plots are doing, and everything else. I mean, it was determined the carry capacity. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I hear you, but hey.
If somebody said you can't use cameras anymore, I enjoyed that as much as the hunting part of it.
Well, we always talk about MRI here, most recent information. And to Jim's point too, the fourth component besides food, water, cover is pressure management, wildlife management. So they give you, like you're saying, the information you need without creating the disturbance.
Well, so guys, I don't know if I'm going to ask, I don't know if this is even legal, but can guys scout with drones now?
I think that's debatable.
There's a gray area there.
Yes,
you can, and I'm not going to bail off into the weeds on that too much, because I'm going to probably say something I shouldn't, because I don't have one, but there's a lot of folks do. I have been in public woods, way deep in public woods in a boat, and we got stopped to listen. I heard the unmistakable sound of a drone flying, and I looked and looked and looked, and that sucker was about as high as I could see it. And from where I was at to any dry ground, that fella, he had to either be flying it out of a boat, or he was 2 miles away on dry ground. And it can be a very valuable tool finding ducks in the woods, especially once all the leaves drop the trees, because you can sure see them suckers in there.
Yeah, and they're using them for deer recovery. I think a couple of states have said some stuff about that, but recovery is such an important aspect of what we do. The last thing you want to do is leave something out there.
Yeah,
so
the thermal aspect.
Yeah, anything you can use, to my opinion. So
I hadn't heard that on ducks, but I guys figure out ways to use technology to their advantage all the time. Somebody's doing that.
Oh yeah.
I sure have enjoyed seeing it, used for videography purposes, where folks are flying it over a duck hole, and you see the little specks everywhere and moving around.
Yeah, some of the stuff Rob brought back was incredible.
It gives you a perspective from the duck's point of view.
Yeah. You bet. Have you seen some of the stuff? I seen one yesterday or today or this morning or something. A guy's flying in with a bunch of speckle bellies, and you see the one speck. You can almost see him raise his head up, turn around, and look like, what is that?
That ain't Lloyd.
Yeah, exactly. But it's cool perspective, and it's funny how these birds get used to them things. Sometimes they'll get nervous. Y'all played with them or been around folks that has. You can only get so close to them before they flush, but heck, I've seen them where the snow geese and ducks have flown right past one, or they've flown a drone in through the flock. Pretty cool.
It is cool.
Wow. Addison, I wanted to ask you, what's going on with Gunner right now? Y'all have got some new stuff, don't you?
Yeah, we're working pretty hard. We just got through Black Friday, Cyber Monday, so our team's really proud about being able to ship out, same day or the next day, and Black Friday will back us out a couple days, but half the team's focused on fulfillment and customer service, and other half the team's kind of planning for next year. We launched the training bumpers and the food and water bowls this year, and then next year we got some more exciting stuff. Really, next 2-3 years we've got some exciting stuff that we're working on. That's more of my lane is the product side, and yeah, that's what I enjoy, and go out and use some prototypes this year on some hunts, and it's just kind of all hands on deck.
Nosler's known for their bullets, and now they're making suppressors. Nosler suppressors are made for hunting. Adding a Nosler suppressor to your rifle will make you a quieter, more accurate, and more effective hunter. Protect your hearing and disturb less game with a Nosler suppressor. The time to hunt quiet is now. Learn more at nosler.com.
The Furminator is the industry's most versatile piece of food plot equipment, allowing plotters to do every step of the process, working the soil, adding seed and soil supplements, and compacting, from start to finish with a single implement. It's hassle-free by design. Set it for the seed size and simply drive the tractor, and the Furminator does the rest. Check it out at thefurminator.com.
You know, the interesting thing about his company, and I see it from time to time, is they'll post a picture of a pickup truck that's rolled over 2 or 3 times. And there that kennel is intact.
Yeah.
Gunner saves.
And then maybe the state trooper lets the dog out, and and the guy is, might be hurt or something, but the dog is
Dog's
okay.
good to go.
There's a bunch of those stories. Addison, that's got to make you proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I still get chills when I see a kennel on the road, but when I hear about those stories, it's just crazy. I think that we post about a third or a fourth of the stories that we have come in, and it's crazy too. Usually, right around September till about February, they'll start coming in every week. It just picks up. Sometimes we'll get 2 or 3 in a week, and we had some last year where there's 2 different house fires, and the dog was in a gunner kennel, and they had other dogs. One of them was at a duck camp. Other dogs were in other kennels, and the dog and the gunner survived, which I never would have dreamed that it would have any kind of help with a house fire. But and that's something we're not going to advertise, like
Right.
your house burns down, but it's just crazy to find out about some of these wrecks and how the kennels have held up and saved the dog's life. And we got in a wreck. I was in Kansas last year on New Year's Day, driving out to a hunt, and somebody T-boned me right where my dog Chevy was in his kennel, and he went and picked up a 8-man limit a couple hours later. Everybody's okay. But that's something you just don't plan on. And I always kind of wondered myself, am I, with Gunner specifically, like I worked so hard to get this kennel made for him, are we ever going to get in a wreck? And thankfully we never did. But then with my new dog Chevy, we did.
Yeah.
Taking Chevy to the levee.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what.
But
That's cool.
Y'all know how important dogs are to us as outdoorsmen. I mean,
yeah. Now,
you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't.
You can't.
You really can't. Jim, I know you feel the same exact way. I mean, you've been around dogs all your life.
Oh, absolutely. Dogs been my best friend forever. I got two master hunters laying in there on the couch right now. Yeah, very, very important to me. My dad was a big quail hunter, bird hunter, duck hunted some, but I always trained dogs all his life. And he was always of the opinion that he'd always say, son, your hunting is only as good as your dog. And that kind of makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The better your dog is, the better you and your dog get along, the better the hunt is. I can't imagine hunting without one. I mean, there's places it's not practical, but for the most part, a good fetch dog makes life a whole lot easier and a whole lot funner to watch.
Mhm.
Yeah, way more interesting.
And a good dog will make you hunt harder. I mean, it just will.
Yes, sir.
You get up just because he wants to go.
Yeah.
Or she.
Yeah, it's like
that's right.
the dog wants to please you, but
Yeah,
you want to please the
like-
dog. You feel the urge to take your dog.
They look at you
too.
like, all right, we're going.
Yeah.
If you
I've got-
miss,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
if you
got one
miss.
in there that she don't go hunting for you. All you do for her is give her a ride to the hole. That's all she cares about.
Yeah.
As long as you get her there, she's on her own.
We got
Wow.
a couple of those.
Yeah, yeah, we do. Wow, the whole dog thing though just fascinates me, and how they are just such a big part of our lives. And I think the waterfowl guy, the dogs are just they're laying on the couch in the house, just like
Sure.
Jim's saying. And the guy that's bird hunting, it just doesn't seem like that dog is quite as in the house as much in my mind.
Well, I think everybody will agree. The build of a Labrador versus the build of a bird dog is a little bit different. A pointer, or something
English
like
pointers.
that.
They really don't want affection.
No, they don't want affection, but once that lab's done doing his deed, he's looking to hang
They can
out.
flip their switch pretty
He's
easily.
looking to hang out.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they can go from business to whatever.
To pleasure.
And not many
Pleasure.
coon
Real
hounds hanging out in the house either.
Yeah. Well, it's one of
Now
my
I got a
house.
couple buddies. Their coon hounds like to hang out in the house with the porch pretty well. But you're right. Some like it more than others, and that's the thing about a Labradors. They for sure want to be rubbed on if you give them the opportunity.
Yeah.
Addison, I've been rabbit hunting with a bunch of folks, and they'll have like one kennel in the back, and they'll squeeze 16 beagles in that one kennel.
We need a jumbo gunner kennel. Yeah.
You'll see noses and tails sticking out everywhere.
And one of them every time.
Oh, me.
Oh, that's fun stuff. It is, dogs and hunting are synonymous with each other, whether you're rabbit hunting, hog hunting, duck hunting, bird hunting, whatever you happen to do. And even deer recovery dogs. We've had a lot of content about that lately, but every aspect of the hunting community.
And, talking about deer recovery dogs, just think back years ago, deer drives with dogs. And, driving deer with dogs used to be a huge thing.
That's how I started, no doubt about it.
And it still is in some places. And I hope it doesn't die.
I don't either.
But it's
how a lot of people in the South got introduced to hunting.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does. It was a community thing.
Yep.
It really was.
Mm-hmm.
Still is.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It is.
It's
we need
not
to go,
for
we need to
every
get one
place.
going on.
Well, there's
You
a
think
guy
Toxie let us walk our hounds out of his?
I don't know. I'll let you ask him.
I'm going to let you ask him.
I had a question I was going to ask, and
Oh,
then
my
you got me
bad.
distracted
My bad.
with that with the deer. Oh yeah, that Zach brought his dog. I started following him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Zach Crowley.
And it's every night.
He is busy every night.
He'll post a picture or two of some big buck he's finding.
Yeah. And he just genuinely enjoys, the retrieval process. It really is. And I think obviously the work with the dog.
Yeah.
That is a fine dog.
I don't know how he sleeps because just every night
He
he's
must
recovering,
not. Yeah.
Recovering a deer. Wow. Yeah. So, well, hey, Jim, circling back around, these public areas in Arkansas that everybody loves to travel to and hunt. What's the water situation like there?
Bring your own. Bring a 5-gallon bucket full, and you might help it out, but I doubt it. No, it's dry. We've had a couple good rains, but it's dry. It's going to take a major rainmaker to get things where they need to be. That said, they're calling for more south than here, but 1.5 inches roughly over the next couple of days here, 1 inch up towards the state line. That'll help. It'll all help, but we're going to need a big rain event to fill up the rivers and everything. A lot of people think of buying meat at WMA. They think that Arkansas Game and Fish can flood it. Well, they can put the boards in the structures, but Mother Nature has to provide the water to go in there. They can't pump it. Same thing with the White and Cache River bottoms. That's all natural flood. So it's got to rain first. And, when you think about, this goes into Dudley's side a little bit, managing hardwoods and whatnot for duck hunting. Even like on a Green Tree Reservoir, it's part of why you try to emulate that natural cycle of wet, dry. Some years are wetter than others and whatnot. So here it is, a dry year. And to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of our state WMAs and U.S. Fish and Wildlife areas, while the trees are getting dormant now, I'd love to see a dry spring, keep the water off of them. Before you go riding around and you see a lot of tree damage in White, Cache River bottoms, Biomeda, and some of our other more popular areas where too much water too long into the summertime is taking its toll.
Dudley and I were talking about that earlier this week, trying to see the positives of, the no rain. We're seeing areas that are dry now and are coming back with a lot of native plants and stuff that hadn't in years. So, maybe hoping that there'll be more food sources maybe in the next years because of it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of species depend on those, 100-year droughts or 100-year floods or 100-year fires to do their thing. Like, for example, where I grew up duck hunting, we had this big area we called the Mud Flats, and it was if you looked at it from an aerial view, there was a big ring of cypress in a small area in the middle, which was the deepest part, and it almost it kept water year round, and it was just surrounded by cypress. And then when you go farther out to the edges, there's cypress there. And so for those cypress in the middle to establish, they had to have a historical drought because even though they like to grow or you find them in the water, they don't establish in the water. You know, a seedling can't survive if it's completely underwater. So it takes these historical droughts for things like cypress and Tupelo gum to get established. And I'm sure there's a lot of other species that, need a cycle like that, an extreme cycle like that.
I mean, even here we're seeing more favorable native plants this year than I think because of the drought than we've seen before.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But it's so true. Even like up north in the prairie pothole region, you need those droughts for everything to reestablish and refurbish itself, for the future. So drought is like fire. It definitely has its purpose.
Yeah. So just like every year, maybe next year, boys.
I just wish it wouldn't hit in September.
That's right.
Yeah.
Let's let another month have the drought. Oh my goodness gracious! Wow, it's really impacted our food plot production.
Oh, no doubt about it.
But Addison, you're deer hunting a bunch now. What do you got going on there in Tennessee? Did y'all get enough rain to have food plots this fall?
Yeah, I've been taking the kids to a couple of buddy spots around here, and I've got a little lease, and there's been so many acorns in the ground up until I'm hoping that freeze helped out that we're kind of having right now, but they've been in the woods, up until for the last week I was in Alabama at my in-laws camp, and they've got everything growing. They're doing good, and I'm not seeing it besides lack of water, because there's some duck holes that we can hunt around their camp, and I think those are a little dry right now. But yeah, being focused for me, it's been all the deer been in the woods up until last week.
You got your eye on any big ones you're trying to kill?
I'm a weekend warrior. I've given up on killing a big buck myself. I'm just trying to get the kids out, and I think we've got 2 or 3 does so far, and I'm just trying to fill the freezer and help out any of my buddies that have property. I'm like, hey, I'll go kill 3 does one afternoon and give them some meat and help with the management of it. But
yeah, I was about to say,
yeah,
one of us.
I'm more about shooting the pigs and helping with the does, and if the big one walks out, great. But it's not my property, so I don't really feel like I deserve to kill somebody else's buck. And I'm not good enough to see the big ones enough.
Yeah, it sounds like you're like me. You're always dragging does out, so you don't get a chance to see the bucks.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're not shooting enough does.
No, we're not. On that topic, just a piece of property here that, DMAP's still running here. And you can, if you're working with the state in Mississippi, you can work with them, and you set your own trail cameras out. They help you get your permits, and then they'll analyze the data for you. But an 800-acre tract in Lowndes County, they advise them to kill 20 does and 3 spikes. And they wanted to be sure the spikes, if the spikes had less than 3-inch spikes, which I'd never heard this before, that they said that if the spike doesn't have bigger than 3-inch spikes, there's not enough carrying capacity on the land at that age. And so they're advising them to not only shoot 20 does, but also 3 spikes.
Now say that again. And they're measuring the spike's length.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get this wrong, of course, but I'm somewhere in the ballpark. Depending on, I want to say it was 3 inches. If those spikes weren't more than 3 inches, then there's not enough nutrition or carrying capacity on the land. It's overpopulated.
That sounds about right. Or they were late born.
Like
their mom was a fawn and she went into estrus a couple months later.
So they're encouraging that. And that might be because of,
so it's not the genetic
stuff.
Thing, which we know has been proven wrong, but it's like the mouth thing. If you've got a lot of deer and too many deer, it really doesn't matter. You got to take some boys and girls off.
That's right.
To set the population back.
And the young bucks like those are the ones that are traveling, and if there is a disease, they're helping spread.
And I believe statistically, those spikes with the much shorter antlers, especially in the South, are typically, again, either malnourished or their mom
Wrong.
was young, and so the fawn was born late.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
But
Yeah, it was interesting that we heard that this year.
it will take that deer probably a year or two longer to reach its maximum potential.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
And
why they're
catch up.
saying, why not just take a few of them out as well?
So obviously, here in Mississippi, they're wanting us to knock deer
Yeah.
density down.
Yeah, and now obviously that's not a blanket statement across the
No.
whitetails range, but in most places we have more deer than we need.
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel like when you talk to the experts that people are shooting enough does in these places.
That's
And
right.
so
We're trying to change that around here.
Well, we need to because goodness gracious, we don't need something. We got enough challenges right now with managing whitetail deer. We don't.
That's right.
Need more.
That's right.
So wow. So Addison, I think you got the right attitude there.
Yeah,
I think
Fraser likes it too.
Yeah, and that whole the fatherly thing that you're doing, we admire that. That's good.
Yeah, you get invited to a lot more places if
you do.
If you take out some does or pigs.
Yeah,
Speaking of, we forgot about Jessie on Butt of the Biologic.
yeah,
she has outdone you again.
Well, I don't know that
She's quite the hunter.
she is,
might be a better hunter than you
I
are.
believe she is.
She is lucky. I'll give you that. She is lucky.
She
It's
must
a
do
lot,
a lot of
fun.
scouting.
A lot of scouting. She takes advantage of a lot of scouting. That's
Or
right.
she has a personal scouter.
She does have that. Yeah.
She's evidently doing something right.
Yeah,
It
she
looks
is.
like.
Oh my goodness. So, well, Jim, what's going on in the waterfowl world we need to know about? Any latest and greatest developments or challenges or any issues?
There's a lot of issues. Like I mentioned earlier, here, Arkansas and Mississippi, duck energy days are a big thing we need to be concerned of and try to help people get more groceries on the ground. One of the things I would say that for everybody, bee pops were down a little bit. Production may have been up in some areas, but that's cyclic. But go buy even if you don't duck hunt, if you enjoy the outdoors and conservation, go buy a federal duck stamp and your own state's duck stamp.
There you go.
That'll help out a lot right there. There's really no hot topics right now going on as far as I haven't seen any avian influenza much yet. Looking at these these snow goose feeds we're starting to get. So that hadn't really cropped up yet like it had last year. But just keep paying attention, keep hoping for good weather and good directions.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm glad you mentioned that federal duck stamp deal. You don't have to be a waterfowler, and you don't even have to be a hunter to purchase one.
Yeah.
No.
If you're a birder, or you just like being outside and you're interested in conservation, buy a federal duck stamp. It's the best thing you can do.
And absolutely. And those dollars they mainly go to waterfowl habitat improvement or waterfowl something, but that helps everything.
Wetlands or
wetlands, birds,
so
mammals,
important.
everything. It helps everything out.
Beautiful
that's
art,
kind
too.
of my big thing.
Beautiful art, highly collected.
Yeah, it really is.
And if you don't hunt, you don't have to sign them, right?
No, exactly.
You don't
not.
have
Yeah, I tell a lot of people, if you don't want to sign it, go buy two.
There you go. That's right.
Everybody goes, well, they're $25, and if you buy one with a credit card, it's $28. Well, now look, I realize that can be tight, but if you can afford to go buy a tank of gas to go duck hunting or fishing or whatever else,
You're
we can
exactly
afford
right.
$25 is nothing. Yeah.
$25 duck stamp, right? So
Yeah.
it's not that big a deal.
No.
Yeah.
Good
Duck
point.
meat's one of the most expensive meats when you look at all the money you got into it.
Man, I was
No
figuring up a bunch of lease dollars that we got into
Oof.
things for this year and whatnot. And I quit. I'm not real good at math, but I quit trying.
Yeah, it doesn't work out.
This
work out.
doesn't look good.
Mm-mm. Well, guys, look, I got something, and Addison, I'm kind of thinking about you. You got all these kids, ages 4 to 8. I'm trying to give you something you can talk to them tonight at the supper table.
Uh-oh.
Do you guys, and I'm looking at all y'all, do y'all know how to tell the difference between a boy ant and a girl ant? Do you know how to sex ants is what I'm asking.
Huh. You know?
I'm out on that one, bub.
Yeah, I've never thought about this.
So if you'll get a bucket and then grab you a handful of ants
What is he doing, Rob?
and then drop them in that water, the ones that sink are the girl ants. The ones that float are boy ant.
Buoyant.
Where we
Wah,
at, Richie?
wah,
Come
wah.
on.
There you go, Addison. You'll be a hero tonight.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, now you know what we have to put up with every day.
Dad joke of the day,
Yeah.
right there.
So
He's consistent.
we always have
Yeah.
a trivia question, and
Oh yeah.
I think Jim has a trivia question for all of us, including you, Addison.
Uh-oh.
You'll be in on this too. You
Here
can
we go.
answer.
Yeah.
So
I've really got two. I've got one kind of tough and one somewhat of a layup.
Let's go the
you
layup
pick.
first.
So let's set it up first. So we're playing for one of our listeners that left a review.
Okay.
And then this, Richie, why don't you tee us up?
All right, so we're playing here today for Ryan. All the names are taken.
Yeah,
Ryan, all the names are taken.
that's what
was
his
his
name
username?
was.
That was his name.
But this segment is brought to you by who, Richie?
Today's trivia is brought to us by Sheffield Financial because your finances are not trivial.
No, it is not anything trivial about it.
They are an impressive company, guys.
Yeah,
If
LS
you,
tractors.
if you need to buy an
Polarises,
ATV or something,
whatever you
yeah,
need, they'll finance it for you.
That's right. Sheffield Financial. All right, Jim, we're ready for you.
Okay, so this ought to be a layup for this crew right here because we was talking about federal duck stamps and whatnot. What was the name of the only Labrador Retriever featured on a federal duck stamp?
I think I know this.
I think I do too.
I think I do too. I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna text Bobby, see if it's the same one.
Well, hang on now.
I'm pretty sure I'm clueless.
So wasn't it King Buck?
No.
Winner, chicken.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Addison, I'm sorry. I didn't even let you respond on that one. You probably knew that.
I knew it. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Yeah,
King
you look
Buck.
like- you look
I
like
was
it.
about to start giving clues, but you got it.
I was wrong.
Okay.
Where
Yeah.
did that come from? How did I miss out on that?
I don't know, but
King Buck.
seems like one of the adult beverage companies used him for ads or something.
Oh, that would make sense.
I'm not positive
Nah.
about that, but
I don't remember that. Maybe so. May have because he was owned by
There's a big
Oh,
family
John
out of
Olin.
St. Louis.
Yeah, John Olin, who was owned Winchester Western Ammunition,
Huh.
is who owned King Buck.
yeah.
That's where he come from. He's trained by a guy by the name of Cotton Pershaw from Cotton Plant, Arkansas, originally. So
Is
that was the
yeah,
layup.
I think he's from Cotton Plant.
Yeah.
That was the
was-
layup. This one's
that-
going to be tough. This next one's going to be rough.
All right. So as we talk about this next one, no, this y'all got this. So another duck stamp question. The name of the Federal Duck Stamp Act is the Migratory Bird Hunting and Conservation Stamp Act. In what year was it enacted?
Let's look at Addison. You can tell he's thinking. Look at that.
I want to. I'm
Trying to think when they started making more rules.
I'm
That's
going
a
to
good
say,
one.
I keep thinking 1928.
I was
is that
saying
like-
27.
It's
I was
23.
thinking
No, y'all got the Migratory Bird Treaty Act mixed up with this one. Back
Ah,
in 27. But yeah, I'm proud of y'all. You're in the right part of the world here. I'll give you just a little bit more to think about it. And here's a hint: the birds featured on the first federal duck stamp were a pair of mallards painted by Ding Darling. So you understand the importance of who Ding Darling was, and you know about Pittman Robertson and the Ding Darling Act. So,
I do know about Ding Darling. What an interesting name to be called Ding.
yeah. No, he's got some killer.
Addison,
questions.
we're just going to defer to you.
Yeah,
What-
we
you-
figured Addison knows this one.
37.
Ooh,
well, you're in the right decade, so I will give you a win on that. 1934.
boom. There it is. Go, Addison.
Well, you stumped
you go.
us.
Yeah, you stumped
Stumped
us.
the chumps.
He stumped me on the first one, too. I was way off.
You acted like
Man,
you knew it, though.
I thought I
was
knew it.
afraid y'all would have. I'm afraid, man, that y'all was going to slam that one.
Yeah.
But
no,
you did good. Bobby pulled through for y'all. on
he
that.
sure
I
did.
don't know how
Go
I knew
Bobby.
that, but I did. So, wow. Okay, so all the names are taken. You win. Look,
What are we
we've got
giving away this week?
We've got some gunner bumpers
Oh, nice.
that Addison
Nice.
sent down
Oh,
here. We'll
sweet.
send one of those to him.
There
So,
you go.
Yeah. Hopefully he's got a dog.
Yeah.
But who doesn't have a dog these days?
That's right.
Everybody's got a dog, man.
Yeah. Addison, you got anything else you need to add? Anybody you need to say hello to?
No, I'm good. I appreciate y'all having me on. This has been fun.
Yeah, man, stoked to hear you out there with your kids mowing stuff down. That's always fun.
Drop by and see us sometime.
Yeah.
You know, when
Yeah.
you're in Alabama, you're not far from
Yeah,
us.
we might as well be right
Well,
here.
I know we'll probably see him at NWTF.
Yeah.
That may
Yep.
be when we next see him. I do have some questions.
Yeah.
Is it
I actually
rapid
have
fire
them
time?
for Addison.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Let's do this.
It's rapid fire time?
Yeah,
Springfield rapid.
and I'll just say, you know, my point about us deer and turkey hunters making a little duck hole.
Good
I
point.
just want to encourage folks to do that. I think you'll get a lot of pleasure out of it. You know, whether you hunt it or not, just getting to see cranes and
Yeah, and if you can
wood
scratch
ducks
out
and-
one good hunt, you know, that's pretty awesome. You know, in your own place, it really is.
Yeah.
and talk about
Absolutely.
adding some value to your property.
Yeah, it
You've
would.
got a little waterfowl impoundment or something.
And now is the time to start thinking about putting up a wood duck box in
Yep,
late
that's right.
January.
Yeah. So we can help. You can probably call your local
NRCS, FSA,
NRCS,
they'll help you out
USA.
too. Yep, they'll always help you.
DNR and see if somebody can meet you at your place and help you get started, help you with some ideas and maybe even some grant money or something.
And you're all it takes is a beaver pond and a little work. I mean, it really does just scratch out a little spot.
Mm-hmm.
And no trespassing cows. I'll add that.
Yeah, you
They
got
can eat it
you
up.
cows messed up your
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
I had a heck of a stand till the cows got in.
They like it.
Yeah,
They like
do.
that guy's choice.
Especially when
So,
it's this dry.
so Rapid Fire is brought to you by Springfield Armory.
Oh yeah.
You guys probably familiar with Springfield Armory.
Have we
They-
heard from our ultimate squirrel hunting giveaway winner?
No, so Marty Flaherty, if I'm pronouncing it, has not gotten in touch with us. So I think he's only got a day or two, or we're going to have to draw again.
Oh my
So
goodness.
We've never been in this situation before.
We
but
hadn't.
I don't know what to do. We're gonna.
So does it not default to me if he doesn't claim it?
I don't think it does. No. No, we're gonna follow whatever the rules are. But the rules said something about 10 days. So
Well, I hope he reaches out.
yeah, that's what
You
we're.
want-
Thank you for reminding me about that. Go ahead, Dudley.
Okay, so Addison, I think we've done Jim before, but I figured I'd come up with a few questions so our listeners can get to know you better. Just try to answer them as quick as you can, and you can say yes, no, maybe, both,
Neither.
whatever. But okay, so are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, classic country or southern rock,
Classic country.
bluegrass or jamgrass?
I don't even know what jamgrass is.
Me.
Okay, so
Bluegrass.
Ricky Skaggs or Billy Strings?
Billy String.
All
There
right,
you
well,
go.
that's some jamgrass.
Yeah, that's jamgrass.
All right,
Okay.
fried deer meat or grilled deer meat?
Oof. Ooh.
Oh. Fried is special. I have fried less, but I enjoy it. I don't overall grilled.
All right,
Mm.
quicker on the next one. Collard greens with
All right.
pepper sauce or purple whole peas with some good old chow chow on it?
God.
Collard greens with pepper sauce.
All right,
Mm.
sausage biscuit with or without jelly?
Without.
Would you rather go on an out-of-state turkey hunt or an offshore fishing trip?
Offshore fishing.
Mm.
Little spot in the timber or open cove in the Cypress Break? What's your favorite?
Little spot in the timber.
Wood duck hunt or diver hunt?
Wood duck.
Soybeans, rice, corn, or Milo? Pick one.
Ooh.
Corn.
Moist soil or millet?
Millet.
Pump, semi, or double?
Mm.
Semi.
And last but not least, would you rather kill a Jack Miner band or a hybrid duck?
Ooh.
Jack Miner.
Mm.
Good answers.
Pretty
With him
good.
on that
Good
one, too,
answers,
yeah. Yeah. Well, those are good, Dudley.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would
Get
you
it that
rather?
way.
Great question.
All right, I know, Bobby, you've killed a Jack Miner, but would you rather kill a Jack Miner or a hybrid?
Jack Miner, for sure.
Lanny?
I've killed a hybrid, so I'd rather have a Jack Miner.
And Rob's not on the mic, but what about you, Rob?
Jack Miner.
He
Jack
said
Miner.
Jack Miner,
Nodding,
too.
nodding his head.
Yeah,
So,
Jack Miner.
Okay. Richie probably
Richie.
doesn't care like I
Richie.
don't.
yeah.
Well, all right, Richie,
Jim's
what you
probably
got?
done both.
Jack Miner or hybrid?
I mean, I'll do Jack Miner. Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm the only hybrid guy.
I would
Okay.
be with you, but I think I'm. got
All
one.
right.
Yeah.
Well, good.
Ronquest has
Ronquest,
enough
what do you
bands to
think?
wrap
Probably
around.
done
them.
both.
Jack Miner for sure. I see more hybrids than I see Jack Miner bands.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Good intel.
Well, guys, this has been fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Hey, they always are, man. I'm always honored to get the opportunity to sit in with the Gamekeeper crew. Thank y'all.
Well, y'all are both great partners of ours. We appreciate y'all.
Y'all
being
are
here. There's
great
no doubt
people,
Yeah.
and you come from two iconic brands.
No doubt
Yeah.
about it.
yeah, we encourage people listening to go to, they can Google Drake and go to their website. I think it's just drake.com.
Or it might be
if I'm
Drake
not
Waterfowl.
mistaken.
Drake Waterfowl.
DrakeWaterfowl.com. And
You
then
bet.
it's gunner.com, right, Addison?
Yep, just gunner.com.
Gunner.com.
Yep.
Check it out.
Christmas
Christmas
coming.
is here. Yeah, and go get you some
It
stuff.
is that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And boy, I mean, they got some stuff that
You got me on your list.
I do have you on my list, but it's not my Christmas list.
Oh, here we
You're
go.
on my watch list is what you're on this time of year. So. Well, guys, we enjoyed having y'all. Thank you so much for being with us and
Yeah.
all that you do.
Appreciate what y'all do.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
y'all.
And
Appreciate it.
yes, sir. Everybody listening, we appreciate y'all as well. We appreciate you watching the television show on Tuesday nights.
Yep.
Richie, it looks good.
Leave us a review.
Yeah, need
We
a
like
review.
reviews.
Yeah,
Tell
and,
your friends about us.
yeah, and subscribe so
Yeah,
you don't miss
subscribe.
one.
That's right.
We dropped a bonus one, and if you don't subscribe, you may not have known about it last week. The little girl killing that great big deer, and
That was a monster
Eric
deer.
Larson with the
Yeah.
200-inch Kansas
Yeah,
deer.
that was a monster deer too.
Oh, man.
And there's supposedly a 200-inch whitetail that got killed in Mississippi. We're trying to track down, aren't we?
I'm on it. I'm not having a whole lot of luck
So if
tracking it
anybody
down.
knows this guy, Bobby wants to talk to him.
That's right.
Have you heard from Hank yet?
No, Hank Williams Jr., my dream guest.
He
Is
still
he
won't call
ghost-
you back.
he's
He's
ghosting
ghosting
you?
you. Yeah.
No, I don't know. Addison, can you help? You live up there in that part of the world.
When you
can
see
help me.
Hank at the store, tell him Bobby is looking for him.
I can
I'll tell
honestly
him.
say when I was a kid, my dream in life was for Hank Jr. to come hang out, consume beverages with my dad and his buddies, and fry deer meat and eat rice and gravy.
That sounds like a good time.
I just always
Don't
thought that
sound
would
bad,
be.
does it?
I just thought that would be so cool, you know.
My
But-
grandfather was one of Hank Sr.'s doctors, and my mother, who's the youngest of 12, remembers growing up. Hank Sr. would go hang out with my grandfather, and Hank Jr. would be with him and hanging out with my mom and her siblings. But
Well,
I don't have a story that cool.
Small
that
Yeah,
might be
so-
your connection.
Well, so look, I grew up in Montgomery, and my formative years, like when I started driving around,
Formative
you know,
years.
1978 or
Playboy
something.
Bobby.
So the a country boy can survive. I think came out in 1980. I
You
was
id-
like
you
10th
id-
grade.
You identify with that, didn't
Oh
you?
my! I bought so many 8-track tapes. It's not even funny. And that's all I would listen to.
Yeah.
But Hank Williams' grave is in Montgomery. We would go to that grave. We would take our dates and go to the grave. And look, you know, it was just a part of growing up there. And he's got a farm somewhere south
Yep.
of Montgomery. And I would hear all these stories about what he was doing on that place.
Yep.
This was 35 or 40 years
Yeah,
ago.
he's a gamekeeper.
So I want to know what he's doing with it now and what's it like. So I don't
Maybe-
want to talk about music. Just
Maybe he'll call you.
maybe he will. Addison, help me out.
Come on.
All right, guys. We appreciate everybody, and we've been going on and on, but this has been a lot of fun. So,
Glad you're back, Richie. Glad you're back, Rob. Back in the house.
yep. Why don't you say goodbye, Dudley?
Goodbye, Dudley.
Get us out of here, Richie.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Gamekeeper Podcast, and be sure to tune in again. Subscribe to Gamekeeper Farming for Wildlife magazine, and don't miss the Mossy Oak Properties Fistful of Dirt podcast with my good buddy, Ronquest Strickland.